Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage CEO of the Martin Luther King Jr. Performing and Cultural Arts Complex, Ms. Demetrius Neely.
Thank you so much. Good evening, and welcome to the King Arts Complex, where dreams come alive. On behalf of staff and the volunteers, we are delighted that you decided to join us this evening for a marvelous evening of honoring the Beattys. We are so excited. This is our 11th annual award ceremony, and no one could be more fitting to be honored than the United States Congresswoman, Joyce Beatty, and the Honorable Otto Beatty, Jr. So we have, as I said, an extraordinary evening on store for you. What can I say about the Beattys that you don't already know? I can tell you that they are an extraordinary couple. I can tell you that they are forever friends of the King Arts Complex. And I can tell you that they are very deserving of this night's honor. I want to tell you a little bit about the occasion. So Legends and Legacies, you might say, why do we do this? Legends and Legacies recognizes the rich contributions of individuals who have demonstrated their commitment to service, leadership, and passion. Their commitment shows through in a number of ways: philanthropy, service, leadership, creativity, and vision. Now, we've been doing this for several years, and over the years, we've honored several dozen people. Some of the names are Nikki Giovanni, Ruby Dee, Sonia Sanchez, Harry Belafonte, Maya Angelou. When we had Maya Angelou here, that was amazing. They all are amazing people, but she laughed, sang, and danced on our stage. If you were here for that, that was quite lovely. All Living Ohio Tuskegee Airmen, Loanne Crane, Denny Griffith, Larry James, Doug Kreidler, Will Haygood, Mayor Michael B. Coleman, and President and Mrs. Michael V. Drake. And tonight, we add the Beattys to that remarkable list of individuals. With that, I'd like to bring to the stage Olivia Johnson, President of the King Arts Complex Board of Trustees. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Board of Trustees at the King Arts Complex, we welcome you to our annual Legend and Legacies Awards ceremony. Tonight, we are delighted to honor U.S. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty and the Honorable Otto Beatty, Jr. They have been great friends of the complex from the very beginning. The Congresswoman was one of the first board members to serve on our board back in the 80s, and Attorney Otto Beatty connections to the complex go back to his grandmother, Mamie Moore, when Otto donated the land that is now Mamie Moore Park. Before we begin our recognition of the Beattys, we wish to thank our sponsors. First, please join me in thanking our honorary co-chairs, Janelle and Michael Coleman, Kathy and Ben Espy. Will you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. We also thank the honorary host committees whose names are listed in the program and are scrolling on the screen behind me. Will all honorary committee members please stand and be recognized? Honorary committee members, please stand. Wow. Thank you very much. In addition, we wish to thank our corporate sponsors. Presenting sponsor, American Electric Power. Diamond sponsors, Honda, L Brands, the Ohio State University, and Park National Bank. And we have a host of silver and gold sponsors that are listed in the program and were recognized on the rolling screen as you were being seated. Please join me in thanking all of these wonderful sponsors. Thank you very much. Next, it is my pleasure to recognize all elected officials who are in attendance tonight. Would all elected officials in the House please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Thank you for being here with us for this momentous occasion. Next, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our Master of Ceremonies for the evening, Mr. Jerry Revish. Jerry has been an award-winning anchor and reporter for WBNS 10 TV since 1980. Wow. He began his broadcasting career in his hometown of Youngstown, Ohio. Jerry has won numerous journalism honors, including 12 Emmy Awards, 3 Edward R. Murrow Awards, the Best International Reporting Award from the National Association of Black Journalists, and many more. He also has been inducted into the Ohio Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Jerry Revish.
Good evening, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here this evening. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke these words regarding leadership. A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. I think it's safe to say that Congresswoman Joyce Beatty and the Honorable Otto Beatty Jr. Esquire exemplify these words, and they are inspiring others to serve as they lead by example. Tonight's honorees have accepted their destinies to become 2 of the strongest leaders in our city, state, and nation. They have also been among the strongest supporters of the King Arts Complex. The Beattys are etching their journeys onto the pages of history. Their contributions are making an impact on the quality of life for all Americans. Tonight's honorees have set a new benchmark for leadership. They are innovative, brave, daring, determined, and passionate about making a difference. Allow me to give a little background on them. Congresswoman Beatty currently represents the 3rd District of Ohio in the U.S. House of Representatives. Prior to Congress, Beatty was a member of the Ohio House of Representatives for 5 terms. During her tenure in the Ohio House, she rose to become the first female Democratic House leader in Ohio history. She also served the Ohio State University as its Senior Vice President for Outreach and Engagement. Attorney Otto Beatty Jr. served for 18 years in the Ohio General Assembly. He became a powerful advocate for minority business and underserved communities. He has been honored for his contributions to tort reform, minority business development, and healthcare advocacy. Before we bring the Beattys to the stage, please direct your attention to the screen. There are some people who would like to recognize them.
Congresswoman Beatty has had a tremendous impact on Central Ohio, not just in the political arena, but also within the business community. And she's led the way for African American entrepreneurs by being a shining example, but most importantly, she's granted access so that others can learn the right way to do it.
They've really been community leaders They have people who have given their name to be used and given their resources in support of so many things that are important for the Columbus community.
Well, they've been working here in Central Ohio for decades, and they've done things that have impacted the lives really of hundreds of thousands of our friends and neighbors around, from things that work particularly on the lives of children or on the interaction of the university and the broader community. It's been terrific.
Well, Congresswoman Beatty has been an amazing force for good in our community for decades, and former Representative Beatty has done so many amazing things to contribute to the quality of life of the people he represented in the state legislature. The impact that they've made on this community will be felt for generations to come.
Congresswoman Beatty and Otto Beatty, they've made such a tremendous impact to Columbus, Central Ohio, especially the Near East Side, where they have done so much in the area of housing, community development, opportunity, lifting people up. That's what they're known of. You think of the Beattys, you think about how they have lifted people up.
One thing that I think is so significant about Joyce Beatty is that she feels a very deep and real reverence for the people she serves, not just those in her district, but everyone she comes in contact with. She really feels they are important, they have dignity, and they should be listened to and responded to.
When I first came to Columbus, Otto Beatty served as a mentor to me, not only in the practice of law, but also as a politician. Otto always raised the pertinent issues that affected the black community. I watched him very closely over the years, and when I decided to go into politics, I emulated him a lot in trying to raise the issues that would improve the conditions in our community and to make sure that people were kept abreast of the political implications of the decisions made by elected officials.
The one thing I would say about Congresswoman Beatty is she thinks about Central Ohio. You know, in Washington on Capitol Hill, there is so much grandstanding and bickering and partisan rhetoric that it's refreshing to have someone who says, I'm not just going to point out all the problems, I'm going to work with you for a solution. And she's been really impactful at working with her colleagues across the aisle, you know, Steve Stivers and Pat Tiberi, and forming this coalition of leadership looking for ways to improve Central Ohio, to bring jobs here, to fight the drug problem, to fight human trafficking. She always has at her heart the needs and the wants and the future of the people in her district.
I can remember when Congresswoman Beatty called me back in about 2014. It was cold, blizzard. And she called me to ask me if I wanted to go to the White House. And I was thinking, like, how am I gonna get to the White House? Because it's snowing. And it just was, you know, kind of heart-throbbing because she was like, well, you know, she just talked to the President Obama, and he was putting together My Brother's Keepers program. And as he was putting together this program, she told him, she said, well, you need to have some ordinary community people. It's good to have the Magic Johnsons, the Al Sharptons, the Roland Martins, but you need some ordinary people that really on the boots on the ground. And next thing you know, I was sitting right there with everybody else. And that has just been a blessing to my life. And it has helped me to continue to move forward in my progress and helping my neighborhood.
I think it is well known that the Beattys are an incredible power couple in the city of Columbus, as well as throughout our country. I would say that they make impact because I think I view them as selfless leaders. I think that they respect differences, which I think is so critical. I think that they're both very effective at analyzing problems, and then they work to make the best solutions for the community.
One of the ways that I think they have made a significant impact on the community and on me personally is that they show up. They show up when you need them to be there. They are a presence in the community, in particular in the Black community, whether it's at the Thursday night concert series or at the Legends and Legacy or at the museum. They're there. And I think that's really important for people in the community to see our leaders out front, and they are both out front.
When I think about Otto Beatty, I think about somebody that has invested a lifetime in making Columbus the best place to live, work, and raise a family. When I think about Joyce Beatty, I think about governor, I think about a U.S. senator, I think about somebody that God has placed and put in position to lead us. She's a visionary.
I'm a disabled, combat decorated Vietnam veteran. When I had problems with the VA, Joyce Beatty was there to help me.
So without any further ado, let's meet our honorees tonight. Please welcome Congresswoman Joyce Beatty and the Honorable Otto Beatty, Jr. It's going to be a great evening, and it's good to have you both tonight.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I address you by your first names?
Absolutely.
Please do.
Thank you. Well, Otto, we went to the archives and found some pictures from your yearbook, high school yearbook. There we go. If I go to heaven, I want to take my reason with me. That is great. That is great. He was a sergeant of arms, representative to the assembly, kept the class on its toes with open debates. You were also an accomplished athlete. What sport?
Four.
Okay.
4. Football, baseball, ran track, and swam. Everything but basketball.
Wow. That's insurance for the future when you can do all of that stuff, right? Did you think the practice of law at that time was in your future? When you were in high school, were you thinking about what you're doing now?
I thought about it, and let me tell you a tremendous advantage that I had. I grew up in my dad's restaurant at a time when food service and other services were in a period of segregation. And so all of the African American lawyers would come to the Novelty Food Bar, and by the way, it really wasn't a bar, it was a restaurant, would come to the Novelty Food Bar and they would have lunch together. And I would listen to them talk. And I would think about the impact, and I thought about the impact that they were having. And of course, at that time, Jerry, there wasn't really that many opportunities available. And so this was something that I chose by listening to so many of the lawyers that came before me that didn't have the advantages. I mean, thinking of a black lawyer at that time, or an African-American lawyer at that time, in a major law firm, in, not only in Columbus, Ohio, but in the United States, was literally unheard of. And this was a profession where I knew we could make a substantial contribution, and it was something that held my interest, and I knew how important that branch of the government would be when it came to laws. The executive branch, the judicial branch, the Congress, I knew how important that would be. And yes, it was something I thought about very, very early on.
Thank you. Joyce, we went back in your yearbook too, and we found this picture. Look at that. Joyce Birdsong, Bird Lady. Got to ask you about that. Cheerleader, French club, drill team, student council. There you are, that's your cheerleader outfit, right?
Yes.
Okay, what school was that?
Nettie Lee Roth High School.
What city and state was
That
it?
was in Dayton, Ohio.
In Dayton, Ohio, okay. It seems like you were a born leader back then with all of that. Did you see yourself then where you are now?
Absolutely not. A little different than Otto. I always knew I wanted to do something to make a difference, but I wasn't as focused on first generation college in my family. So I was always involved and engaged. I was always involved in politics, but early on I didn't think about elective office. I thought about running the campaigns, being the creative energy, the strategist. And then I got involved because I had a great mentor, C.J. McLean, who was known all over the state of Ohio and the nation, and Charity Early. And so they kind of positioned me And then about 30 years ago, I met this wonderful man, and I moved to Columbus for love, and he allowed me to run one of his campaigns. And I think from there it became history that I wanted to be more and more engaged. And I got engaged and decided that I would run for the State House. And then it was really the community that decided that they wanted me to run for Congress.
Yeah. We're going to dig a little deeper into how you all met each other and got attracted and all of that in a moment. Your roots, Otto, in the community run deep. This area of Mount Vernon Avenue that the King Center is on was called the $1 Million Block back in the day, right? Tell me about those days and you coming up around here.
Oh, what a wonderful experience. And I say it's a wonderful experience for this reason. I have had the benefit of living through times where there was segregation and to watch the progress that's happened not only in our city, but our country. Things were a bit different then. There was more African-American entrepreneurship. It was very, very important. There was more African-American ownership. There was a different type of relationship between, let's say, the police and the community. The police at that time walked the beat. They were not in cars. And as you would see police officers walking down the street, they would say, hello to Mr. John, hello to Miss Susie. In response, there would be hello to Officer John, hello to Officer Smith. There was a different type of relationship. The people worked very, very hard. They were very, very self-sufficient and very, very respectful of one another. And you didn't see the kind of confrontational relationships that you see now. There was a difference. And I think it was an advantage growing up during that period. And then to have the opportunity to see so many successful African-American males and females, especially when it came to being entrepreneurs. That was a true advantage and a true learning experience. And I think we need to get more of that.
And you carried that sense of ownership and entrepreneurship and minority business into your years at the State House. You were in the legislature for 20 years there when very few African Americans were. What do you consider some of your major accomplishments while you were in the State House?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do when I went to state government, and people like Ben Espy did the same thing, that is, I wanted to really be involved in not only human services, which is extremely important, but I wanted to be involved in the real policies that shape the state. Let me give you a for instance. I was chairman of the Public Utilities Committee when we had the conversion from coal plants to atomic plants. And as you know, there was an automatic pass-through, which would have just wrecked the tax system. That was something that was extremely taxing and extremely difficult to do. Tort reform, I was vice chairman of a committee during the savings and loan crisis, and so I had the opportunity to deal with a lot of banks and their relationship with the government and how we would save the savings and loans in this state. And those two things, in addition to minority business, I think were very, very important. There was something called House Bill 584 that I was one of the authors of, along with a number of other people. And that gave the opportunity for minority business people to have a chance to do business not only with state government, but also the private sector. And we had follow-up with the private sector. And I can go on and on and on through bills and bills and bills, but those are some of the things that I think that were really impactful and impacted not only Columbus, but impacted the entire state of Ohio, and to agree in the Midwest. And so those are some of the things that I felt that I'm really proud of, that I was able to be involved in, to have the opportunity to step forward and do those things, along with a lot of other people.
Yes. Now, Joyce, when Otto came to you one day and said, I wanted you to succeed me in the State House. What was your reaction to that?
Well, the story was a little different. Otto had decided, because he knew term limits were in the near future, that he could have some business opportunities. And so he said, you know, I'm not going to run anymore, and it's going to be an open seat. And here are the qualifications I think the person who's going to get that seat should have.
Okay.
So he actually never endorsed me. I read that in the paper when I woke up the next morning, and it says, Otto Beatty's not endorsing a candidate in this race. Now, as his wife, there was pause. But it was probably one of the best things and the most brilliant things that he could have done for me. Because later he said, I could have easily have said, my wife is wonderful and she should have this seat, and you would have always been in Otto Beatty's shoes versus being in his footprints, but developing my own shoes. And so when he outlined all of those qualifications, it really helped me, because there were things that I possessed, and it made me work harder to represent what he had done so well, but to create my own path. And he pushed me to do that.
So
now, Jerry, all the husbands in the office understand that I heard about that for a while.
So thanks for bringing it up again, Jerry.
Touche.
Talk to me, now we're going to fast forward to Congress. That's where you are now. Human trafficking and wanting to get girls into 21st century STEM seem to be two issues and passions you have. How did that happen?
Well, when you think about growing up during the same era time that Otto talked about, I was very fortunate because of my family upbringing, growing up in a strong family with a mother and a father, the community, and the church. I was very privileged. But then as I got to Congress and I started reading and hearing more about human trafficking and how young girls at the age of 9, 10, and 11 were becoming victims. They were being prostituted. They were enslaved. I started reading some of the books and writings of Frederick Douglass. And one of his descendants came and visited with me and said, you know, Frederick Douglass was the father of the anti-human trafficking movement, with what they did with slaves. And so I thought, if this could be something that I could do to save lives, because in Ohio, we have so many young people, mostly girls, but some young boys, who become victims. So I got excited, and it was one of the first bills that I had a major part in getting passed. And what was more significant than that, it was a bipartisan bill. When things were so rough in Congress and so partisan, this passed on the day it passed the House floor. Not one person voted against it, and that was very historic. So it was helping, again, it was giving back. And for the 21st Century STEM program, I think because I was so disappointed in the disparity and the lack of diversity for young girls. I have a granddaughter who I think is just brilliant, but I want her to be able to know that if she wants to be a scientist, an engineer, that we have programs there for her. And for the girls that live in this community, and especially for little black girls and minority girls, I got interested in this bill because I wanted to make sure that we had grants and funds there at the state and the local and the federal level that would help them be able to have a career and to understand what STEM is: science, technology, engineering, and math.
Staying with the thought of women, your grandmother, Mamie Moore, walked with Dr. King, and the park next door to this center here is named after her, Mamie Moore Park. It was dedicated 29 years ago today, October 18th, 1988. Tell me about how her work and life influenced your life.
My grandmother was an icon, and she was involved in everything. And the advancement of African Americans was really her life, and she became a national figure with many, many other women from all over the country in advancing the cause and the causes and the life of African Americans in so many ways. And she was a mentor to so many different people, including myself, of course. And we would talk for hours about the importance of getting an education and the importance of trying to help others and the importance of being in organizations and working tirelessly to help other people. So I was very, very fortunate to have not only my grandmother, but my mother and my father, who was certainly one of the smartest people I knew. And their commitment helped me immensely and kept me on the right path. And trust me, I worked in my father's restaurant starting when I was about 9, and I don't think he believed in child labor laws or anything, but they taught me the value of work, and they taught me the value of focus. And at that time, as I said before, there were not that many opportunities, and so you had to really keep on the straight and narrow. And certainly my grandmother was a big part of that, and she helped a lot of other young people.
Joyce, Congress is in session. We're not going to turn this into a press briefing tonight, but I do want to ask you your thoughts about, with the recent devastation that we've seen in Texas, Louisiana, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, how would you assess how America is responding?
Well, I think that's a very good question, and it's a timely question. I think communities and people are stronger than I've ever seen. I wish that our administration was as strong as the individuals are. Recently, I was in Puerto Rico, and tonight I flew in one of my staff, my executive assistant, because his family was devastated in that. So we've been able to watch in our Washington office firsthand what it does to a family. But I've seen people embrace him. People from this community, the Ohio State, called him on the phone to ask how he and his family. One of my colleagues, Congresswoman Stacey Plastic, represents the Virgin Islands. So here is what keeps me going in Congress now. It's the people. It's the people in this community. It's the people in the territories. It's the people who are in Florida, in Texas, because they understand that we're bigger than any part of government that doesn't understand that we need to send money. We need to be helpful. These are citizens of the United States of America. And we've had great examples to learn from Katrina, to know how we should be able to put things in place. And we shouldn't be waiting 2 weeks and 3 weeks for our leaders to be going there. And some of the behavior and the actions, and certainly not a political statement, but a factual statement. We are better than paper towels. We are better than saying to the people, you messed up my budget. We're just better than that.
Thank you. Otto, you were one of the first black attorneys to have an office downtown. Am I right about that?
Yes.
And you brought along young black attorneys. You made space for them in your building. Why was that important to do?
Oh, it was extremely important, because I think that one of the things that we were successful in doing was to putting together a group of people that could go after business that traditionally African Americans attorneys had not been able to get. And that was extremely important. As a matter of fact, when I look at my, quote, alumni association, unquote, they've done very well. John Garland became president of Central State University. Leroy Purnell became a professor at Ohio State University. And other people that were with our group have done extremely well and developed just outstanding reputations. It's been very, very interesting to watch the law over a period of years, because at one time the courts were our friends. They were our friends. They did a great deal for us, and when people interpreted the law, it was to assist us. That's not necessarily the case now, and I'm concerned because what I see now is things being turned around to this degree. Because the ideas and the feelings are at the ends of the decisions, and the decisions are made that hurt us now, hurt an awful lot of people now, and then there's justification for that decision. Whereas decades ago, I don't believe that was the case. Now, there's been great progress. When I first walked into a courthouse as a lawyer, I saw all the pictures of all the judges, and I didn't see anybody that looked like me. Nobody, and I'm not talking about males. There were no females. It was all males. And now I walk into a courthouse and I see a picture of my daughter.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And other folks that look like her. To me, that's progress.
It is progress. Got to make you feel so good.
Thanks.
Let's turn the page here a little bit and talk about the both of you. How did you meet each other, and what attracted you to each other? Who wants to go first?
Well, let me say it was politics.
Okay.
I didn't know Otto Beatty, even though we were in the same state. We were miles apart. And as it would be, he mentioned House Bill 584, and he was far too modest. It was a bill that at that time made sure that there was affirmative action and set-asides in the state of Ohio for African Americans. And many prominent African Americans now went through that program, and he wrote that legislation. And so he had gotten a huge contract in my home city where I was one of the leaders with that program. And so a good friend of ours that was the budget director said, I think you all would be perfect to have a political conversation and to talk. And so we did that for a couple of years and became great friends. I actually worked for Otto Beatty. That was my first experience. He actually hired me, paid me to work on one of his client cases. But really, I think it was my mother that sealed the deal.
How so?
And yes, he went to my mother about something that I had done that he didn't like. And they were very good friends. And she said, well, Otto, are you going to marry her? And then you can come and talk to me about her.
Well, I guess you took her up on that. So,
well, the last time I tried to describe this, I was getting an award at from the YMCA, and that question got asked, and I kind of said the wrong thing, and I don't want to do it again. And people said, "What do you mean by that?" What do you mean by that? Yeah, we were political friends. Hogwash. This was. Let me tell you, this was.
Tell us. Tell us.
This was a lady who had beauty and intelligence and integrity, and I just said, this is for me.
Oh, and that's sweet. And it has been. That's beautiful, beautiful. So you're flying back and forth from D.C. to Columbus and then doing a lot of different field trips around the country. You're still practicing law. I mean, how do you keep it together? I mean, those are really busy schedules, and there's got to be a lot of pressure on you with that.
It is, but I'd like to say we make time for each other.
Okay.
We are partners in marriage, we're partners in business, we're partners in love. We love each other, and we're still in love with each other. And so when you love somebody and you're in love, you make time for them. We travel together. Otto still has a very, very full load with his business, but it's about sacrifices. I come home every week. I have flown home to have dinner and to go back because this is my home and this is my community, and that has to come first. So we've traveled the world together. He's been very gracious and gone on all the trips that I've gone on. We've probably been to more than 12 countries together, but we know we have an obligation to my job, to his job, because we serve this community. And you can't be focused in Washington if you don't have a partner in support. And so I'm the creative one, he's the smart one. So we put it together and we make a great team. I call him at 12 o'clock, thank you. I call him at 12 o'clock at night and ask him about a bill, or I get his opinion. Might not always do it exactly that way, but we give great advice to each other, and sometimes it's rough, but we're in this together.
And we've got a common interest in trying to help people, a common interest in what goes on in this community and what goes on in this nation and what goes on in the world, and any direction that we can take to try and make things a bit better. I think that to be successful now in any endeavor is so complicated that you need a good partner. I well remember 3 o'clock in the morning asking Joyce, stay awake, we got to talk about Israel, when she was running in the primary, the first time she ran. And I think those are the kind of things that keep people together, and that's a true story. We were reading WebTvMediaOhio about Israel, and we're both interested in facts. And the other thing that I think that keeps us together is we realize the challenges that we need to assist with and help with and be involved in 2017. We've got some challenges, and trust me, we're going to be a part of those challenges along with all of you all. And so we want to stay focused, and we keep each other appraised of what's going on. And I think that's very, very helpful.
Still putting in the work.
We're a team.
Last question tonight. What do you want your legacies to be?
Well, I guess I'm the oldest, so I can talk about that first. My legacy, I would like for my legacy to be someone who's committed, someone who is thoughtful, someone who's interested in policy, someone who's interested in trying to get the job done, and someone who's interested in trying to keep our young folk on the right path. When I grew up, we didn't have a lot of options. Nowadays, there's more options. But I think that we're interested, as a part of our legacy, is keeping these young folks focused and to get them to understand that unless you've got a skill that you can sell and a skill that somebody wants, that you're going to have some problems. And we want that to be a part of our legacy with our own grandchildren, with children in general, with young people, especially young African American males. And let me tell you, I'm telling them right now, you better work hard, you better get an education or a skill, because in 2017, if you don't, they got something for you. They got something for you that you don't want. And so I hope that a part of at least my legacy, and of course Joyce's also, will be trying to help some of these young African American males stay focused so they'll be successful.
When I think of my legacy, I think of it in the oldest words in storytelling, and that's once upon a time. I want little girls especially to be able to say, once upon a time, there was a black woman named Joyce Beatty. And I want them to be able to know that they too can dream and dare to be different. I want little girls to know that they can be whatever they want to be. I want to leave a legacy to know that it's okay to work hard, that it's okay to dream to be someone, that it's okay to present yourself in a manner that others will look at you. But I also want them to know that it's not okay to not be a lady. I want them to know that it's not okay to try to be one of the guys. You can be in the room and be you. And I want them to also know that it's never about one person. I don't want anybody to say that Joyce Beatty was the first if there's not a second and a third and a fourth. So I want my legacy to be a growing one. That when people play back the tape, Jerry, from tonight, they'll say, oh, you know what? She sat on that stage in 2017, but I sat on that stage in 2018, in 2019, in 2020, because a legacy is something that should continue to grow. So for me, let it grow.
Let it grow. And it is. Haven't you enjoyed them tonight, this conversation? Great. Just so wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we want you to stay seated here because we have some more people who want to give you some congratulations. Let's look at the screen.
This video is not long enough to describe the countless ways the Beattys have made an impact on Central Ohio, but they have selflessly invested their time, talent, and treasure in our community. Whether it's supporting the arts and institutions like the King Arts Complex, being a voice for the voiceless, ensuring entrepreneurs have equal access to opportunities, or sending kids to camp or to college. The fingerprints of Joyce and Otto Beatty are all over our community.
Congresswoman Beatty and the Honorable Otto Beatty, congratulations on being honorees for the annual Legend and Legacy Award. Both of you have served this community, our state, and our country with distinction and grace.
Congratulations, Mr. B, and my favorite Congresswoman. You are powerful alone, but together you are unstoppable.
Congratulations, Joyce and Otto, on the annual Legends and Legacy Award. It's very well deserved.
Congratulations to Joyce and Otto Beatty on being the recipient of the Legends and Legacy Award.
Thank you, enjoy the night, and congratulations.
Congratulations, Joyce and Otto Beatty, for being Legends and Legacies.
It is my pleasure, on behalf of her many friends in Congress, to bring congratulations to Congresswoman Joyce Beatty on her well-deserved Legends and Legacies Award.
Thank you, Legends and Legacies. Congratulations, Grammy and Papa.
Now, you know, those kids have their hearts.
So beautiful. Round of applause for the Beattys tonight.
Our next guests to come to the stage now are our honorary co-chairs. Please give a round, warm applause for Janelle and Michael B. Coleman and Kathy and Ben Espy.
Good evening. A very special evening. Back in the day, people from my generation would just say, wow. I probably can't really say out loud what people from the current young generation might say now about tonight. We are really grateful to celebrate Congresswoman Joyce Beatty and Attorney Otto Beatty. They have been an inspiration to many, many people. Not only have they created history, and think about this, they have left a footprint, many, many footprints for many people to follow for years and decades and centuries from now. They will be remembered in everything that they did and everything that they started. There has been no limit to their compassion, to their generosity, or to the contributions they've made. So I think it's important to say that you are keeping it moving, you are passing it on, and your work will not be forgotten, and we love you.
Thank you. Joyce and Otto Beatty, Otto and Joyce Beatty. Otto is a mentor to me. When I came into the practice of law, he would talk to me from time to time about what it meant, and I'm grateful for that. Joyce is like my older sister, and she is so special to me. And I begged her to run for Congress.
You did.
So involved in it that I came to their headquarters at Otto's office, right? Was it at your office, Otto? Yep. And made phone calls myself to ask folks to get out to vote. And we're grateful for your service, both of you. You are truly both representative of what it means to be a legend and legacy, and it's my honor to be here today and to know each of you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Well, it's my honor to be here tonight to honor Otto and Joyce. When I first came to Columbus from the Air Force as an Air Force lawyer, I was the youngest African-American lawyer in Columbus. And Otto was the second youngest, a little bit older than I was. And now, Otto, you're the oldest practicing African-American lawyer in Columbus. And I'm the second oldest. But it's just been a joy and a pleasure to know Otto and Joyce all these years. I remember Joyce, her first day in the General Assembly, and she was like a little freshman legislator, and she's the only legislator I knew who had a book bag. And she asked every day, she asked questions about this and that, and she's proven herself to be a great legislator and a great politician, a great public servant. And so I'm just happy to be here tonight to at least congratulate you both on your years of service to this community. I'm supposed to read your plaque. It says, "Thank you, Joyce and Otto Beatty, the 2017 King Arts Complex Legends and Legacies honorees. Your leadership and dedication to the community, state, and nation are truly magnificent. We are immensely grateful for all the ways you help to make our community great."
Joyce and Otto, congratulations. Thank you so much for being great friends to me and Michael. And thank you for being a shining example for us newlyweds of what a true partnership really means. On behalf of the King Arts Complex, we are honored to present you with the Legends and Legacy Award. You represent the best of our community. Congratulations.
Now that's a picture. That is a picture. Congratulations and thank you to our co-chairs tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring to the podium our 11th annual Legends and Legacies honorees tonight, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty and the Honorable Otto Beatty, Jr.
It is indeed our honor to say the two most powerful words that I was taught by my mother to say, and that's thank you. We are humbled, we are honored, and we're going to take our few minutes that we have, and we're going to do it as a tag team. Otto?
Let me first of all say thanks to our family, and let me ask them to stand up. Richard, Lori, our two wonderful grandchildren, my son Otto and his wife Christy, and of course, a lady who's been a star not only in Joyce's life but in my life also, and that's her mom, Miss Annie Reeder. Her sister, Patty Reeder, and her husband, Julian, Patty White, excuse me. I always get reminded of those faux pas, don't I?
Little Julian.
We call him Little Julian, but their son, Julian.
Mary Brooks.
And Joyce's sister, Mary Brooks. And I also want to thank all of our sponsors that you see, both corporate and individual. And let me say one other thing about this town. And we talked about progress, and I specifically talked about progress in the law and progress in business. And let me just say, one of the things that I realize is when you talk about progress in Columbus, Ohio, it's not just the efforts of the African American community, but this town has done well because we've had so many friends, both corporate and individuals, that don't necessarily look like us. And I think that there's been so much camaraderie, so much good spirit, and so much cooperation from so many different segments of this community that that's one of the things that has made this a progressive city. So all of our corporate sponsors, I'd like to ask you to give them an applause, and all the individuals. Okay.
We also want to thank the community, and so many people put so much into making tonight special for us. We could not have had a better venue or a better staff than those here at the King Arts Complex. So Otto and I want to give a personal thank you to you, Demetrius, to your entire team. But also, we wouldn't be here without a team. And so I would like to ask all of my current staff and Otto's staff to please stand. I flew my executive team in from Washington, D.C., and they're here today. Would you please stand? And while they're standing, my journey did not just start in Congress. Would everybody in the audience who's ever worked for and with me, would you please stand? Let me say to you, thank you. I stand on your shoulders because you were so helpful in allowing us to be here. Tonight is about family, and you are all part of our family. We didn't get here by ourselves. Otto in his early years with so many people who were his contemporaries and those who aren't here. But to those 4 people who were the hosts tonight, I want to take a moment of personal privilege and say to you, because I knew you before I moved to Columbus, Kathy Espy. Kathy gave me a ride home from the airport after a national conference, and we've been friends for too many years to count. Ben Espy was my mentor and my leader. He was in the Senate, and Ben, I had more than a book bag. I carried that whole budget and books, and I would look for Ben Espy in the hall to ask him if I was on the right track. And Ben stopped every day
to give me advice and told me just write things down and always remember it. So to my DC staff, Ben, I still have that little drawer and I write things down and I hold them accountable for it. So when you all get mad, blame Senator Ben Espy. Janelle is a newer friend and I just love her to death. Janelle, thank you for your kind words, and we show up because there are people like you leading the way. And Michael Coleman, my little brother. Michael, he didn't tell you this part, he kind of hails from Dayton, Ohio when he was over there at law school. But Michael and I have grown up together, and it was Michael Coleman who did more than make those phone calls. It was Michael Coleman and Gordon Gee and Les Wexner who came to me and said, we believe in you, and we believe that you can make a difference. And then there were people like Carlton Weddington and Larry Price and Karen Morrison that led this community through a process that identified me to run for Congress. I will forever be indebted to you for that. And we've introduced our entire family, but it's more than just names, what they mean to us. Every day they guide us through our journey. Every day they stand with us. All I know is family, Mother, because that's what you've taught me all my life, that it's always about family. And now we're leaving a legacy for our children, for our nephew, and most importantly, for our grandbabies.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all so very much for 30 years. Joyce and I have represented this community, between the two of us, for 30 years. That's something I don't think too many folks can say. You've been wonderful to us. We've tried to work hard to advance this community, along with our fabulous mayor, Michael Coleman, the longest serving mayor. We look forward to doing the same with our new mayor, who may be there 16 years, or he may move on to something else. But we appreciate what you have done for us, the uplifting that you've given us, the encouragement that you've given us, and just the energy that you have conveyed in supporting us over 30 years, that all we can do is say, as we accept this, thank you.
Do I get the last word?
Always.
If you don't believe us, when you leave here tonight, we are opening for the first time our public Beatty collection. It is just a small collection to paint a picture of what two families can do when they work together to serve you. So as you leave, we hope you enjoy it. We could not have thought of a better place to exhibit it than the King Arts Complex. Thank you. Enjoy the evening.
Another round of applause for Joyce and Otto Beatty. What a special couple, what a special night. Now, to put a bow on this fabulous evening, we want to bring to the stage the mayor of the great city of Columbus, the Honorable Andrew Ginther.
What a great evening here in the city of Columbus. I want to thank Jerry and the entire team here at the King Arts Complex for putting on an amazing event worthy of these two incredible honorees. You know, when you think about the impact that the Beattys have had on Columbus, there's so many things to think about. Some that were mentioned earlier and some that I'll mention because I have the microphone and I can. Where would we be without maybe more park gifted to us by the Beatty family? And where else would I challenge Coleman to wobble-offs during the summer at the Heritage Concert Series? Where would we be as a community without the dynamic leadership and commitment and passion of then Leader Beatty, who helped us bring back the incredible Lincoln Theater. Where would we be without all of the small businesses that got their start under the visionary legislation and laws passed by Representative Beatty to make sure that minority and female-owned companies got a fair shot at business in this community? And I know we wouldn't have won Smart Columbus or got the rapid transit up Cleveland Avenue or seen PAC transform the Near East Side without Joyce Beatty. And he can't talk about the Beattys without talking about politics, and I have to mention this because I'm a bit of a political buff. There's only one person in Ohio history who has ever won a majority for her party when the opposing party drew the lines. Many men have tried. One woman succeeded, and that's Joyce Beatty. In all of Ohio history, in all of Ohio history. And for all the great things that they have done and continue to do to support our work in neighborhoods throughout our great city, we say thank you. We say thank you on behalf of a grateful city, on behalf of a grateful community, for all that you do to make sure that every family in every neighborhood, regardless of who their parents were and regardless of what they were born into, have a shot to grow and prosper in America's Opportunity City. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Steve. Wow.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you. Aside from the great sponsors and well wishes and proclamations that were in the program book tonight, the Beattys received a few more gifts this evening. They received 2 kente stoles, which they're wearing tonight, ceremonial cloths worn during times of high importance in African tradition. They also received an official letter of accommodation from OSU President Dr. Michael Drake and proclamations from Ohio Dominican University and the Moritz College of Law. They also received a brick paver, which is part of the King Arts Complex Walk of Fame. And finally, they received a lifetime membership to the King Arts Complex. As we close out tonight, we invite you to exit the doors to your right to visit the Wall of Legends, where the Beatty's plaque is on display. It's a beautiful plaque. Travel through the permanent installation of cargo, the Middle Passage, and Gorey Island to the reception. And along the way, we want you to stop by the Elijah Pierce Gallery to view Start at Home art from the Frank W. Hale Jr. Black Cultural Center collection. And as Congresswoman Beatty mentioned, for the first time on display, the Beatty Collection exhibit. There's also music, complimentary champagne, hors d'oeuvres at the reception. So enjoy yourselves this evening. Thanks for having me. God bless you and safe speed home.